Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture. Very pleased to say I am joined now by Nyla Rose. Nyla, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm like a huge fan of the channel and everything, so it's kind of crazy that you guys are having me on because I watch you guys all the time.
Well, we are huge fans of yours as well, and it's great to be chatting to you today. So we are less than 2 weeks away from AEW on TNT. You'll be going one-on-one against Riho for the AEW Women's Championship. How are you feeling about it, first of all?
It's a little bit of everything, like, every emotion you could possibly feel. Of course, absolute jubilation. Like, I'm just over the moon that I've even earned this opportunity, especially doing the Battle Royal, fighting the entire roster. That's crazy in itself. But yeah, just getting the opportunity to be showcased on the first television show, it's amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah, really, really exciting. Like you say, you had a stellar performance at the Casino Battle Royale at All Out. 10 eliminations in total. You must be feeling pretty confident.
I am, we're going to go ahead and go for this title, and then, next year maybe I'll go ahead and try to do all 20 eliminations. Got to break my own record, got to push myself, right?
Yes, exactly. It's a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan in general, but in particular to be a wrestler, and especially one who's been a part of AEW since the very beginning. How does that feel?
Over the moon. It's definitely something I never expected to actually happen. Of course, those are my goals to quote unquote make it, but it's being in my position, being a woman of color, being a trans woman of color, it's one of those things like, yeah, it's my goal, I'm going to shoot for it, but what are my chances really? And then to not just have those chances and opportunities, but to have them come to fruition, it's incredible.
You mentioned there you are a true trailblazer. And when I mentioned I was going to be interviewing you, I got a Twitter question from Alana Dorr, who says, as a trans woman who's been into wrestling since the 80s, it's really great seeing another trans woman become a wrestler, especially in such a big company. Wanting to know, how does it feel to be an inspiration for trans women wrestling fans everywhere?
It's a bit humbling. I remember growing up, I remember growing up watching wrestling and not having anybody that I could really latch on to. Like, yeah, there were wrestlers that I thought were cool and that, I loved, and I loved to see them and just all of that business, but there was nobody that really represented me. So to be able to do that for an entire generation, an entire community, I almost don't have words for it. Like, it's kind of new to me to be thrust in the spotlight, so to speak. I hope I do them proud.
I no doubt that you will whatsoever. It must be, it's obviously an emotional moment to win that number one contendership battle royal. But like I say, yeah, has it really sunk in just how big of an impact you are having, not just on the industry, but as you say, to people like yourself across the globe? Yeah,
so if I can. I'm not going to peel back the curtain, but I'll let you guys peek back there a little bit. After it all out, after I got backstage and just the sheer adrenaline had worn off, it sunk into me, and I broke down a little bit. I started crying in the back. Just all the negativity and everything online, but that's not the case there live in person. They were rooting for me. There were some boos in there. Some people didn't really like some of the stuff I did, got rid of their favorites and all that. But the support has been absolutely amazing.
Oh, no question. It's an exciting time for wrestling fans everywhere. You mentioned there, obviously, there was no one like yourself when you were growing up, who you could idolize. What was your inspiration to get into wrestling then?
Just the business of wrestling itself, everybody pinpoints one person, but for me, I fell in love with wrestling as a whole, as its own entity. Just everything about it, the characters, the art style, the over-the-top dramatics, just everything about wrestling really just spoke to me, and I just needed to be a part of this world. If I'm being realistic, I thought it would have been on the production side of things, but I'm, I guess you can tell I'm a little bit excited and happy that it didn't end up on the production side of things.
No, absolutely. You've had an incredible career already. What are some of your personal highlights so far?
Definitely getting to go to Japan. A place that I had always wanted to visit, let alone get the opportunity to work there and live there for a few months, training under an absolute legend, Nagaya Chigusa. That by far is up on, besides AEW, that is at the absolute top of the list.
Oh, unquestionably. It's a hell of a learning curve over there. Who's been some of your favourite guys
little bit.
Yeah. Who've been some of your favourite guys to be across the ring from? Who do you really enjoy working with?
Very briefly, I got a chance to share the ring with Melina. She was somebody who I really looked up to, someone in the business. So that was pretty cool. Of course, Takumi Iroha in Japan, Meiko Satomura. I mean, that goes without saying, absolutely. Man, there's so many. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now.
Now, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I wanted to and ask you another Twitter question I got sent from Chris this time, who says, if you win the title, who would you want your first title defense to be against if you got to choose?
Oh, see, I think Chris made a typo. He means when I win the title. I welcome any and everybody. And actually, let me tie this into the last question. I told you there were so many I was drawing a blank, but I feel like an absolute, beanhead. How can I leave out Saraya Knight? Like, come on now. That was awesome to share the ring with her, learn from her. But personally, I wouldn't mind having a rematch against her.
No, I would love to see something like that. A lot of people speculating on a potential match between yourself and Awesome Kong at some point down the line. Could you see that happening?
I'm like one of 5 people there without an EVP title, so I can't make it happen. But I'm doing everything in my power. I'm doing everything in my power to see that come to fruition. Not just, for selfish reasons. I need to test myself, test my limits. But I think that'll be a good match.
So let's talk about this match with Riho. Obviously, she defeated you previously in a triple threat match. But judge it on
the whole stuff. Bring up whole stuff.
Yeah. If you look at it on paper, you arguably hold the advantage. How do you feel going into it that it will play out differently this time?
I feel good. Last time when I had the ring with her, it wasn't just her. It was a bit of a 2-on-1 situation, let's be realistic. Aside from that, a new environment. I'm doing something I've never done before as far as work in this level, in this capacity. So, my attention was a little bit all over the place. This time I'm focused, I'm ready, I've been training. Riho, she everybody says she's an underdog, but that's where everybody is kind of overlooking her. She has the experience. She's been in the ring with, absolute legends, Aja Kong. I cannot afford to underestimate her. Am I confident in myself? Absolutely. I'm confident in my abilities? Absolutely. But the mistake I made last time was kind of underestimating her. I'm not going to do that again.
Now, if you do emerge victorious, of course, you'll be the inaugural AEW Women's Champion, which will be a phenomenal achievement on the first night of AEW on TNT at the start of October, of course. What are some of your other future plans? What else do you really want to achieve in the industry?
That is a very good question. Wrestling is one of the few industries which kind of have a finger in a little bit of everything. There's no secret. My previous background is in acting. I would love to be able to stretch this career, not just in the ring, but outside of it as well. I would love to inspire a new generation of wrestlers, from all walks of life to kind of overcome anything in their life that may make them feel like they can't. I would love to make them feel like they can.
Oh, unquestionably, I think you're as I mentioned, a role model of someone who can really show that you can defeat any obstacle that stands in your way. What advice would you give? I always am intrigued when I ask wrestlers this. What advice would you give to aspiring wrestlers right now?
That's a very good question. Don't give up. It's cliche. It's kind of cliche. It's kind of like right there at the tip. It's what everybody says, but truly, don't give up. There's so many roadblocks and so much discouragement. And, if I'm being honest, I was right there myself. Coming off my last tour of Japan, kind of seeing other people who've done less get bigger, discouraging. But, it's their journey for my success by their life. So don't give up. Just keep pushing, keep doing, and do it to the best of your ability.
It's an exciting time, as I said, to be a fan of wrestling and in particular to be a wrestler involved in all this. You've got AEW, you've got New Japan, you've got WWE, of course. What do you think the future holds for AEW and just for the industry as a whole? Because it's a boom period right now.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's amazing. It reminds, and I'm sure you've heard this, but it's kind of reminding me and everybody of the old 90s attitude era, if you will. Everybody's kind of gelling. Everybody's loving wrestling. It's bleeding into pop culture again. The society as a whole is embracing it. I personally see big things, like another wave of big things for wrestling. You named like every promotion out there. I think everybody is just getting started. And as far as AEW, we're in it for the long haul. It's not going to be a flash in the pan. We got some big things I can't mention, but we got some big things on the horizon, and I think everyone, wrestlers and fans, are going to come out better for it.
I cannot wait. You mentioned the Attitude Era there. If you could go back and face anyone in wrestling history in their prime, who would be top of that list for you?
Oh, man. Specifically from the Attitude Era? That's where we're looking?
Any dream opponent. I was just using the Attitude Era as a jumping off point because that's certainly where I'd try and land myself.
Oh, okay. Right on. I'm torn. I don't know if I would want to have a match against or team up with, but my answer is going to be Luna Vachon.
Brilliant. I love that as a choice. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Let's move on to the final Twitter question I'm going to ask you now before I let you get back to your preparations for that AEW Women's Championship match. Digit asks, what wild stipulation match have you never done but want to? AEW does seem to be a place where they are open to, as he says, wild stipulations.
Man, if I can be honest, I love stipulation matches. They just bring a whole another level of excitement to everything. I've done tables matches, I've done ladder matches, I've done explosion matches in Japan. Wow, that's a really good question. I don't know. I'd probably have to sit down and look at a bunch of stipulations and kind of come up with a new Frankensteinian stipulation. I have to combine a couple of them.
I suppose one that really caught the eye recently, especially at All Out, was that Cracker Barrel clash. Any plans to be a part of that in the future?
No plans, but hey, if the invitation is there, I will definitely cash it in.
I do not blame you. I don't think anyone really would actively choose to take a skateboard covered in thumbtacks to the back, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, no. I'll pass on that one.
Nyla, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you today. Best of luck in your match against Riho, of course, on the first episode of AEW on TNT at the start of October, competing for the Women's Championship. Nyla, it's been great to chat to you today. Best of luck, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys.